Hello, everyone. Welcome to Revelation Now. Revelation Now. I am your host, Jeff Wilson, with Tyler Trent and Jason Wilson as well. Today in this episode, we are going to be talking about the consistent, will not go away phenomena in the skies, what they call the UFO phenomena. Is there anything to it? Is it connected to Revelation? Is there nothing to it? It is just now in the multiple thousands of reports. Very serious, even with the government, things that have come out lately. And I think there is something to it. If you want to know the truth from me, yeah, I do. Yeah. And some people, they might not take it seriously or think you shouldn't even talk about it or go in that direction. But I was just a fellow that we all read after Dr. Heiser wrote the book, The Unseen Realm.
So good.
Who just went on to be with the Lord, actually. But he started getting invites to the UFO conventions.
Wow.
And just tons of people showing up. And he would just tell them, basically, it's the unseen realm. It's the angelic demonic that's really happening.
Yeah.
And they didn't kick him out for it. Matter of fact, they were all ears.
He's still a phenomenon to me, but the unseen realm. Part of the sensationalism with him was just saying, "Yeah, it's real."
Yeah.
He just admitted it was like a big breakthrough.
Yeah.
It's strange to me, even in the Christian world, it was.
He wasn't in charismatic circles.
Like,
That's what
what?
the big deal. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And for those listening, it's Michael Heiser. The book is The Unseen Realm. So good.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, and he draws upon mythology having actual truth to it. That the myths come from facts.
Something just in
the
creation.
sons of God and Genesis and
Well, didn't C.S. Lewis
and where the giants came
call
from and
Christianity the true myth?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Love that line.
Yeah.
But there's and even again what we're talking about today is the phenomenon in the skies. And let me back up before we get into a couple of stories. There's just a recent story a few days ago that went national that happened here.
Yeah.
Right in our backyard in the USA. And you would think it just is not going away. And there's a mixture here of the UFO creatures, Bigfoot-like but not, and 8 foot tall, and it's wild. But as far as Scripture goes, because we're sticking with the Scripture's truth now. This other stuff, I'm sure there's many reports aren't true, people's made up stuff, hoaxes, all of that's out there.
Confusion.
But there are, like I heard the one fella on one documentary, he said they checked out thousands of reports concerning UFOs and things like that, and they came down like 100 and some that had actual credit to it. But the number is just, it's astronomical, the number of reports that have come in. Actually, since 1947 is when it got started here in America. And I'm going to give some scriptures here in just a second, but just to let you know where it got started. It goes back to, it's a fellow by the name of Kenneth Arnold. It was June 24th, 1947. Private pilot Kenneth Arnold claimed that he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects flying past Mount Rainier at speeds that Arnold estimated at a minimum of 1,200 miles an hour. It was going at a pace that they were not at those speeds yet.
For airplanes.
Yeah, for airplanes.
Yeah.
So it was a total new thing. But it's not new because it goes back in ancient times. That's what I'm trying to say. These kind of seeing things in the sky just like that. There's reports even back in the day.
But not just things
like even Constantine seeing the cross in the sky.
You can't explain. Like he's saying, there's nothing that fast.
Right.
We don't have anything like that.
Yeah. And to the day he died, I just saw something on it. His daughter talked about it. He said, yeah, there was something to it. I just saw something. That's all I can tell you is I really did see something. And it just blew up. And then from there on, it started, the X-File phenomenon started happening in America, and people saying, I've seen this and I've seen that. Nine ops, he counted them and he watched them, and he's the one who said they like skipped like saucers over the water, like if you were to skip a saucer over the water. And from that, somebody reported man sees flying saucers.
That's where it came from.
And so there you get your flying saucers coming from. And I don't know, there's not flying saucers in the Bible, but there are chariots of fire, which is interesting talk as well. But I'm saying today we're just talking about, is there anything to it, seeing things in the sky? Because there's signs of the times in the scriptures that talk about that very thing.
Signs in the sky.
There's going to be actual happenings.
Stuff starts happening.
Things are going to happen. And it goes back, here's what's helped me immensely when it comes to end time, last days, Revelation talk. If you can get hold of this one line in the scriptures, it helps to make sense of everything else. And that is the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord prophecies with a D, capital D.
Big D.
Goes from Genesis to Revelation. And once you understand it, especially in the Old Testament, you'll just find where the prophets would prophesy that there's coming a day, capital D, they use that term, when the Lord himself is going to show up on earth and take care of business. Yeah. He's going to shut things down. Justice is going to appear. He's coming himself. And there's going to be certain things that happen in the skies. There's going to be clouds and smoke, and you won't be able to see the heavens because of the desolation that's come from the Lord now.
Now, for that, is Day of the Lord, sometimes I think of end times, and I think the day...
That is the end.
But there are smaller days of the Lord?
Little.
Yeah, there's no...
Like Sodom and Gomorrah or something?
There was things where there was a shut down.
Yeah, an intervention.
Yeah.
Like that was a day of the Lord.
Previews.
You have Noah's flood.
Yeah.
That was about as big as you can get. There's times when it is, I think, too, is the whole thing will go under if he doesn't intervene and shut certain things down. It'll spread to where the whole thing's gone. The plan's over. There's nobody left.
Yeah.
Zero. So he has to, I think in times he does intervene and has to shut certain things down. Because once Adam did what he did, I was thinking about this morning. Sin is like a virus. And it got into everything. Everything. The whole planet got infected by it. Like once sin is removed, the virus, like it says one day the lion will lay down with the lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's
I
going
think
to
that's really
everything's
weird.
going to eat grass. It's a whole violent nature is going to be
It infected
taken.
nature itself.
Yeah, affected
that's really
nature itself.
weird.
Yeah.
He said the earth is now cursed because of you.
Yeah.
There's going to be weeds coming up now. There's going to be things that interferes with your career. You're going to sweat like you didn't have to.
It's funny you said...
barely make it.
Yeah, it's funny you said virus, because when you were talking about sin as a virus, I thought about like a computer virus.
Yes.
And with Sodom and Gomorrah, the flood, those are also kind of like reboots.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kind of had to restart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call tech support. What do? Have you tried restarting?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
It's almost like I see the planet going around the table, and there's times when it's getting ready to fall off, and he has to tap it. So it goes back so it doesn't fall off.
The flood was a
the
pretty
table.
big one.
That's a big tap.
He brought it down to one family.
But did you notice?
That was a decreation moment.
Yeah, did you notice? So he says it broke his heart, didn't want to do it, but it got to where it was only on violence, the whole deal. The whole planet got to where all they were thinking about
totally
was
gone.
stealing your stuff, killing you, it just got rampant.
The actual, in the Hebrew, it's like they do nothing but evil all day.
Yeah. It just got totally
all they do.
Out of control. And that's
personified.
And it's similar to what they talk about. But anyway, the day of the Lord, once you get that, you understand, because Jesus himself, when he talked about the end, he was almost quoting Old Testament passages.
Right. That's why
People
I brought
don't
that,
understand that.
That's
that
why I brought
Jesus
that
was
up
talking.
because these days of the Lord they happen in
Everyone-
a sense.
yeah,
He's saying He will intervene eventually, like in a big scale.
Yeah, everyone was aware of it. So here's some examples of it. So you can see, like, oh, Jesus was talking what they said. And John and Peter and Paul, they were aware of this. We're not.
I was in their
The church-
bloodstream.
The
Yeah.
church is not aware of the day of the Lord prophecies
Yeah.
that permeate. And then when you realize, oh, Jesus talked it too.
It's like the
And the disciples talked it. The early church talked
powerful
it.
push. The whole thing
Yeah,
is
it's like the
that.
motivation.
Yeah, right.
And it
drive.
really
Yeah.
is. What's funny is it really is the classic Judgment Day that everyone kind of maybe laughs at or has fun with, or it's entertainment. We'll have movies about it, and
Well, talking about
And it's
Day of
like,
the Lord, the
really?
intervention, that was Jesus.
yeah.
It was a intervention.
Like here's Joel. Here's one. Joel 1:15. Alas for the day of the Lord is at hand. And you'll notice a lot of it's close in the Old Testament. And that's why it shows up in with Jesus' language, the disciples' they say the same thing.
Near.
It's at hand. It's near. They're taking it straight from, alas for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as destruction from the Almighty. Here's another, Joel 2:1. And we used to sing this song. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Sound the alarm on my holy mountain. That's actually, I don't know why we were singing that, because
It is bizarre.
And then
I thought it was a triumphal thing. It's like doom.
It's a
like the
horse and
end.
rider through the sea.
let all the inhabitants of the land tremble,
Yeah, this is what it is.
for the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand.
Yeah, I thought it was this triumphal thing.
Yeah, it's a
like
different-
the end of Judah and Jerusalem.
Here's another. The Lord gives voice before his army. Jesus talked this, actually. For his camp is very great. For strong is the one who executes his word. For the day, capital D, of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can endure it? And the thought is nobody will be able to endure it.
Unless you've called on the name of the Son of God.
Yes, there's a whole escape there. Joel 3, multitudes in the valley of decision. Man, what a line.
Yeah.
What a line. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord, capital D, is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon will grow dark. There's these signs.
Yeah.
And the
Phenomenon.
stars will diminish their brightness. Listen to Jesus in Mark. So we just read a few. That's just a few. That's just a couple out of Joel. All the prophets talk about it. Even in Genesis, there's talk of it.
Which is the Acts.
Enoch talked about it. Here's Jesus. Jesus says this. I want to read it exactly how it is after we just read there in Joel, because you'll think, oh, it sounds the same. Jesus said, but in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened. Well, the sun and moon will grow dark. We just read in Joel. Jesus, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars of heaven will fall, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, in your very atmosphere, not unseen, not fantasy, not metaphor, in your very sky,
Realer
where most
than real.
people expect it anyway. That's why we're going to talk about this UFO phenomenon. With great power and glory. And then he will send his angels and gather together his elect from the four winds, from the farthest part of the earth, the farthest part of heaven. So here we have, that's just a taste of this time frame of that we're in, which really, I'm starting to think of it as starting with Adam. That began the clock, the fall of Adam. That's when the clock started ticking. Before then, it's like we were not on a clock. But when it comes, once you get stuff going in time, there has to be a beginning and an end in our culture, in our world, if that makes sense to you. Like once you're born, what's coming? I hate to be negative here.
Wow.
Where are you headed?
Are you talking about death?
Yes. I don't want to bring it up.
The reality.
Once you're born, we're in this because of what's. But that wasn't supposed
You're
to be.
in a time frame.
That wasn't supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
They could have stayed in a certain way, and I think they just would have grown in knowledge. Like the Lord had a certain plan for them, because the potential was both ways. In a real world, the potential is both ways, to make it or not to make it. They don't make it, and they start going down a certain path. And like we said, they slowly but surely, time kicked in for them.
Started winding.
They started winding down. It took them a lot longer because of the energy. Can you imagine the energy of being in that state without sin, the perfection that was going on there, man?
Yeah.
But they probably would have been, they probably had a glow to them.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the cherubim that were posted at Eden.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get back in because then they would live eternally in
If
that state.
if they had eaten from that one tree,
yeah.
that just shows you there was
They
some
would be
sort of power.
stuck in that fallen
Yeah.
state forever. But outside of Eden, that's that wind down starts. That clicking, that ticking.
But it doesn't seem. It is and it isn't. It's not a direct line, because like we were just talking about, there are these times where it gets worse or it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not. We haven't just evolved in one straight line. Like there were times, like Noah's time, they went totally off the rails.
Yeah,
the whole
that
deal.
whole
They
generation.
had to shut it down.
There's times that are better
and then
and
there were
worse.
times when it got
Because
a little better.
the free will's not gone away.
Yeah.
You can affect good or bad in your generation.
Or even,
But my point is, everything has a shutting off time now, and there is to me, what I'm trying to say is the whole thing is going down too. The whole thing's shutting down.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because
Out from under
it's
us,
like
the earth in and of itself.
there's free
The
will, but
curse thing.
Yeah.
but there's also this just unwinding of like, it's almost like God pressed play at creation and he's not turning it off.
There's some
It's got to
aspects
play.
to that.
It's got to play through.
Art's
These
not-
seasons are going to
art's
play
not real.
through. Yeah.
If he's manipulating every single thing, putting out every single fire, it's really not real.
Yeah.
It has to play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this version that we're in.
the seasons.
play
There's
out.
times when there's
This age.
Yeah.
droughts or something. I mean, it's not. It's free will, and there's also just like nature stuff going on. Affects the way you have to live.
Right.
So,
And so we have been looking at Revelation, and what started off, we're in chapter 1. We're getting ready to hit 2 and 3 and 4. We're going to hit highlights. We're not doing every verse. There's a lot there to
On Sunday
unpack.
mornings?
Some of it is repetition. The sevens,
Oh man.
they're just from different angles, but it's the
layers.
same
Yeah. So
things
cool.
happening with that. But this unidentified flying object, there is so much going on. It's in the realm of entertainment. It's in multiple TV shows, Star Wars, entertainment. This idea, is there life out there?
Contact with
Something's happening. Yeah.
it's funny we're talking about Revelation. One of my favorite parts.
And I think it is a sign of the time. I hate to interrupt you on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, is that what we're talking about? This Heiser and the unseen realm, when it actually shows up, we can talk about it all day, but it seems in Scripture, especially, or even in life, when it does, it freaks you out. You see that in Revelation with John,
Yeah.
and he's like a disciple of Christ, and it's still he's like falling down with the angel, keeps
Yeah.
worshiping it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, like hey, stop, because he's
I fell
overwhelmed by
I fell as if dead.
the
Yeah.
reality of it is so like
Overwhelming.
we can't handle it. Like it's so
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
The throne room scenes in Revelation just crushed me in the best way. They just seemed overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
But I just think that's interesting. You'd think he would, as such a
Yeah, you've gotten used to it. by
pillar
now.
of the faith, he would he would be ready for this, and he's totally not at all. It's just totally knocks him out. Yeah.
To be ready, that's where I think there's it's not a conspiracy, but it seems like there is a preparation for what's coming. Like we're being prepped.
And culture.
Yeah, culture that when the unseen shows, because there's a lot of demonic that's unleashed in Revelation that you see
A deception.
in the realm of deception, the Antichrist and the prophet, along with him, false prophets, and then even creatures are loose that do destruction. And you talk about seeing stuff finally. It won't be unidentified anymore, you know. But there seems to be a prepping. I think you'll still be overwhelmed, but there's something coming to where eventually, boy, we're talking big stuff today, where you get to Armageddon, they're even trying to fight it. Like they think they can fight it. The unseen that shows up, they're actually fighting
That's in
Jesus.
every movie.
And it's in every movie.
You always fight the aliens.
Even Spielberg
eventually.
finally went there.
Yeah.
Because he did the whole everything's nice and
They're
friendly.
friendly.
Then he had to rethink it.
Yeah.
He said maybe
I wonder
they
what
could
the
show up and they're
odds-
evil and we got to fight them. So he did War of the Worlds.
They're almost always hostile in these things. Almost always.
Yeah, but what if it's good angels and Jesus? They're not hostile,
But I
but
think
they're still going to fight against it. It's
I think
just
you would
amazing.
you would see it as hostile if he's setting up a rule you don't want to do.
Well, I was gonna say it's hostile if you're not down with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what C.S. Lewis talked about. That we always think we like goodness until real goodness shows up, and then it might scare you.
Well, also, like throughout Revelation, Jeff, so much of what the enemy does is just a parody.
It is
of
a
what
parody.
God does.
Yeah.
So, not knocking the entertainment, I love it. I love all these movies. I watch them. I get into them. But do you think that like some of what we see in popular culture, all this UFO stuff, is kind of almost like a parody of the real thing?
Yeah.
Like it's being used to
Well,
not just prepare.
that's where I'm saying
not just prepare us, but kind of dull us
you can be deceived.
a little bit. Like
Yeah. That it's not, I'm saying they can just say it's not really angels. It's not really God.
Yeah. Oh, like
It's not really Jesus.
Jason, you were telling the other day about like with the theophany in the Old Testament. Oh, that was just thunder.
yeah,
They
it's
could-
always been that
They
way.
could say
oh, it's just thunder.
Earth at that time could say it really is just
But I find-
aliens.
I
It
find
really is
myself
just
doing
something
it.
showing up from
Yeah.
another planet.
So-
it's not God.
so
it's not Jesus. It's not Judgment
Prepping
Day.
us in a way to
Yeah.
almost kind of dull us.
That's what
from
I'm
the
saying.
Reality.
But even when you were like reading Joel, like the sky, like my mind immediately went to, oh, it's a meteor shower.
Feels that way.
Some kind of meteor. The stars fall,
yeah, it
and
feels like
makes a
Something
cloud.
explainable.
Yeah,
There's an impact on
Oh, that's what
our
I'm-
very solar
I can
system.
explain that.
yeah.
Look over here.
Yeah. And I go in and out sometimes. Is it all natural and it's happening behind the scenes and it's affecting, or is it crossed over and it's affecting? I think it's both.
I do too.
I think it's both. There's things happening you don't see affecting the natural, and then there's things that cross over and you see it and it's affecting. One time I just thought, years ago, I thought, oh, it's just all behind the scenes. You're never really seeing any of this. Then I realized, no, there's no way. It's very direct at times in the Revelation.
And I think Paul.
That there's things crossing over into our world from another world, and it's affecting it.
Yeah, and I think when Paul talks about principalities and powers, it's first and foremost is the evil behind things, but
Yeah.
it's also the natural that's colluding with it.
Yeah, there's a hand in hand. It's like they used to call it like a double kingdom reference.
Yeah. But
You
I
know.
think there's two when the what like you're talking about the guy what was it that he first saw the UFOs?
Kenneth Arnold.
I think people have I saw a comedian talk about this, how he doesn't believe in all conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
But to think they're all wrong
right.
is also crazy.
Yeah.
Like to think they're all lying every single.
That's what a lot
some
of people say with-
legit have some crazy experience in it. Changes them. Like
That's-
no, it happened.
That's
I
what
don't know
people
to
say
tell
about
you.
UFOs, about Sasquatch, Bigfoot. There's just so many accounts
Yeah.
that they can't all be.
They're all lying.
Yeah, they're
Something's
all
there.
lying. I mean, in the thousands, not like thousands. The reports, and the thing is too, about like the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and UFOs. All of it, it goes back in time. I don't think people understand that. These kind of reports go all the way back into ancient times.
Yeah.
There's reasons
Same
they
thing
started
happening.
building their ziggurats up into the heavens. There's reasons why the gods were on mountains up high, and I mean there just was a lot happening. at that time. It happened during Jesus' time. Things happened with Jesus. Thunder and that wasn't thunder. That was a voice from the heavens, the clouds, the sky came down, and people heard it and shook.
Yeah.
This is my beloved son. There was also again up on a mountain, the transfiguration of Jesus. That's the supernatural coming over into the natural.
Yeah.
Especially if Moses and Elijah shows up.
What's
Doesn't
it-
get more supernatural than that.
It's interesting too. We were talking
And they
about
see them. The disciples see them.
the aliens show up and you fight them like it's a prep thing.
Yeah.
Like that literally happened though, even with Jesus. He showed up
And the powers of darkness.
and we fought him. We killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the natural.
And
humans.
I'm reading the Bible with my daughter, and she keeps being like, "He's doing all these miracles. How are they not getting it?" Like they're literally working around the miraculous to try to kill him.
Yeah.
Like it's right. Like
Well, think about it, too. They say, well, he's doing it from the power of Beelzebub.
yeah,
They're like
like
attributing his works
right,
to the,
exactly.
to the enemy, to evil.
Literally kill him.
I just listened to Moore's series on humility, how Jesus said, I am low of heart and humble, and follow me and I'll teach you about these things. I think, too, they didn't expect their Messiah to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Just take over.
Just be humble. Yeah. I mean, he showed signs when they took the whip and drove him out of the... But for the most part, he didn't force anybody to do anything. He didn't manipulate at all. It was follow me, yes or no, I think there was a humble nature there to it. And I think they expected, just this coming on and
because of
wiping up the room with everybody. And
partially because of what we were just reading.
Yeah, because of all the prophets.
It's literally
Yeah,
the day of the Lord is going
I
to be
can't say
that.
this enough, and I have to use the right language, but Jesus, the Messiah, hasn't come yet as they expect it to be. He really hasn't come yet as it was to be.
Yeah.
It's like this other one was sneaky. This other one was different.
Final capital D.
Again,
Messiah,
it's like this,
Day of the
like
Lord.
there's a war going on, and somebody goes across the lines as a spy, goes behind the scenes and rescues people from a prison, and then he goes back to the other side. They did not expect that at all. Nobody expected a suffering Messiah, a dying Messiah on a cross. That was just not. They expected what we're going to see here, Son of
Even-
Man in all his glory.
We were laughing about
His
that.
angels
Even
and-
after the resurrection, they're like, okay, now
Acts 1.
Now are you going to do
Acts
it?
1. Is now the time for the kingdom?
Let's go.
Go time now, right?
Let's
right?
go. Yeah.
Totally.
Because that's what was expected. And it's still, to this day, Orthodox Israel doesn't expect that other side.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. I remember talking to a fellow when I was in Israel. His Messiah, you better believe he's coming.
Yeah.
And he started talking all this power and king and
Well, it's
going to
partial.
set the nation straight.
Yeah, it's
and-
because it's there in the prophecies. They think, of course, Jesus wasn't the Messiah. He
But
didn't fulfill any of
he's
these
not.
But what's
a
so
world
cool
leader.
is that
Yeah.
what's so amazing about the Bible and the Word of God is that it actually is there. They just didn't see it. Like the disciples, they instantly started going back and looking at Isaiah, the suffering
he had
servant.
to pull it out.
Yeah.
Like they were like, "Oh, that's what this is."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow!
Yeah. It is
Incredible.
there,
But not
but
the
its
overarching.
overarching
No,
theme
not
is
at all.
the day of the Lord.
Kick butt, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kick butt Messiah is coming, and I'm gonna roam just like the Persians and just like Assyria and Babylon and blah blah blah. We're gonna we're
Yeah.
gonna take you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead, you get this self-sacrificial love on the cross,
Yeah.
which somehow defeats darkness, wins the victory for everything. Incredible.
Yeah. Jesus talked it, and but he confused them because he talked it as if it's somebody else.
He wouldn't fess up to being
He
the
wouldn't say,
Messiah.
"When you see me," he would say, "The Son of Man." then you will
he's
see the Son of Man.
Incredible. And I think part of the reason why
Like,
he
who
did,
is that? They even one time somebody said, "Who is this Son of Man you keep talking about?"
I think part of the reason why he didn't just overtly just call himself that is because he knew what they were looking for. Like if he
Yeah,
outright
again.
said, "I'm the Messiah," they would just like rally,
Yeah.
like, "Okay, here we are. Here are our swords.
Yeah.
Let's go."
Again, that has to do with his real nature of love and kind, gentle. This side of it.
It's upside down kingdom.
Yeah, he who's greatest of all is servant of all.
Matthew 5, is it? Beatitudes.
And you really saw the servant side of the Messiah, the love side, dying for you side, and then the judgment side. Which
That's the day of
is
the Lord.
That's the
Yeah.
day of the Lord.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's that you're all excited that you have to do it, but it's part of life. It's part of correction. It's part of bringing things to a close, and then you start with the new heavens and the new earth. You've given it thousands of years to make up its mind, to make choices. So what was this, the phenomena? Is there signs of the times? Yes, I think anything having to do with the skies is a sign of the time. These reports, the paranormal, all of it is referring to that perhaps there's something else besides us. That's the sign.
What's interesting too is so much of
And
it
I say, yes, there is something more.
is now and always has been connected to the sky
Mm-hmm.
and the stars. Like the phenomenon, that the big one that happened, was it last week?
Yeah, it was almost a couple weeks ago.
There's a video that came out. There was a report in Vegas, I think it was, or somewhere out there.
Southern Nevada
In the
is
West.
abuzz tonight with
Southern
stories
Nevada.
about the crash of an unknown object and the alleged sighting of strange creatures in the backyard of a Northwest Valley home.
So it was last night that 8 News Now investigator David Charnes reported about how Metro Police responded back on May 1st after receiving a strange call from a very frightened family.
That's what it was.
Well, our report generated a global response, and now piecing
Yeah, it's gone
together
around the
sequence
world,
of
this
events has
from
been kinda
Nevada.
tricky, in part because the primary
police showed up
witnesses
and
have
they
been
filmed
almost
some,
as elusive
not-
as the beings they say they encountered.
Not saying this is on the news, right? The beings they claim they encountered. The
As
beings.
you know, this is not our first UFO rodeo. We first heard about the incident in early May via the Metro Police grapevine. The incident has a lot in common with other bizarre cases from around the world: an alleged crash, strange beings, and
Yeah,
bits
this is
and
just a couple
pieces that
weeks
don't
ago,
make
folks.
sense. But the police
This
took
is on their
seriously, and so
news
do we.
down there.
Yeah. The one that's
Just before midnight.
See,
on
I'm
April
seeing it right
30th,
now. You can't see it 'cause
skywatchers
we're-
across several western
but
states
a
saw
police
bright
officer
fireball
catches,
straight through the heavens.
Yeah.
A police officer
Yeah, right
working
now
in
you
the
can see it go
Northwest
through the
Valley
heavens.
caught
There
a
it
glimpse
goes.
of the colorful
Some sort of
object on his body cam.
glowing
At
object
nearly
up
the
in the
same
sky.
time, a ring camera in the area recorded a strange noise and what sounds like a crash. One family living in a ranch-style home had a much closer view of the object. Two brothers and their father were working on a vehicle in their yard when they caught a glimpse of a sparkly object as it came crashing down, then were hit by what they describe as
This
a
is
shockwave.
crazy.
One of the witnesses, a young man named Angel, has stated when the brothers looked into the yard where the object landed,
taking this
that
totally
spot
seriously,
was
too.
obscured and blurry, as if by
They wouldn't be
unknown form of
reported.
camouflage. What they saw next prompted a frantic call to 911.
Check this
So
out.
there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes,
isn't it?
and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
8 News Now investigators.
But it's always like I feel like these phenomenons, they're always
And it goes on.
slightly out of reach.
Yeah.
Except that one, the police body cam, there is something goes across the sky,
There is, you see that?
and there's always a
and the police officers show up to the house and talk to these guys, and the one officer goes, "They're not kidding.
they were really freaked out.
They were really freaked out. I mean, they could have saw it could have been a hoax. Somebody tricked them or something. But all of this is what I'm saying is it's not gone away. It's kicked back up in 1947. It started with Kenneth Arnold. Is there anything to it? That's what we started the show off with. Is there anything to it? And is it? And I say yes, because it's asking the question: is there something besides us?
Yeah, is this it?
Yeah, and I say,
And if
and
not,
I say,
what is it?
The scriptures say yes. with a capital Y. Yes, there is more to us, and it's soon going to be connecting and then crossing over into our world.
And part of it's just the unknown, I guess. Like those guys are totally freaked out. But whatever it is, hoax or not, whatever, they're not. It's not. It didn't try to hurt them, and nothing. Just the idea that there might be something else. It totally.
It
people
messes
can't
with you.
handle it. It freaks you out.
Yeah, it reminds me of back in the day with the backtracking, with the music and thinking you're actually hearing a demon talk in some of it.
Yeah.
You know, it
many
scared me
nightmares.
so bad.
Me too. Oh, it was terrifying.
But it's the same. It's a very similar. It's
Yeah.
the idea that there is something extra
Yeah.
possibly happening. You know.
Which there is. That's the whole point. Yes, there really is. And so we're going to continue kind of with this theme as we continue with Revelation now. And this is a podcast that we're just going to keep going with. We're going to look at Revelation, but also in connection with the last days and times, and then with our world, all of these things that are going on in our world with the talk of UFO. We just heard a couple examples right there. The paranormal's big on the scene. Are these spirits human spirits? Are trapped in homes?
Yeah. All the ghost shows. There's
All
so
the ghost shows
many ghost shows.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of it, seeing a ghost itself, just
Yeah.
it freaks people out.
And well, we can't get into it now. But even in Acts, they think it's Peter's ghost at the door.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. They thought Jesus.
When
was-
Jesus walked on the water that
look.
time, they thought it was a ghost, and he had to come over. But still, you had to. I think they probably had to kind of let that go to go on with the normal life.
Some of the phenomena.
Yeah, some of the phenomena they saw with Jesus, they had to just kind of put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really, he walked out here.
yeah. But it's coming again
Yeah.
in the skies.
Yeah. So Matthew 24, we'll close with this. This was Jesus. He said this: immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. Again, you can find it throughout the scriptures. The stars will fall from heaven and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. There's a line right there. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man. Wow. That's just give me chill bumps. Coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Amen. Hey, check us out next week. We're coming back. Enjoy being with you. This is Revelation Now.